So we're going to make our little triplop character. So let me just explain what we've got in the scene already. So if you pull down on your thumbstick on your support hand and look at the third button along, that's our references. And if you hit import, any images that you've got in the underscore import folder will be brought into the program. So if you want another copy of this image, you just bring it in, and then with your inner grips, the two inner ones, you can just move it around to wherever you want. And if it's like now I'm getting too many in here, then I'll just get rid of it by clicking on it and red button. So this one, for example, I don't need it, so trigger button on the tool hand, delete. Now this one's stuck to my model, and these are all fixed in the air, and you simply click on it, and then with the hand tool, click on it, sorry, green gear, and say move with sculpt or not, and then you can have visible or not. So for the rest of this, I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to keep it locked to the model. And I've just put another image just for the ground plane as well. So go back to the layers menu, and now we can start sculpting. So before we start sculpting, let's just see what happens when we just do a basic layering it down. So as you can see there, I've just sprayed just by spraying in the middle of the air, and I've set two things on that are quite important. So pull down on the support hand. Sorry, let's have a look at the control panel first, the yellow button, and I've got mirroring on. So I've hit mirror, and that gives me the symmetry. And also on the tool hand, on the colour palette, I've just picked a colour that's similar to the reference. And there you can see I've just sprayed it down just to have a look at what it's doing. So that for me is too high resolution. Just from experience, you know that when I smooth it, takes a bit of work to smooth, and that's holding down on the support hand, the main trigger, and then that gives me my secondary tool, which is smooth. So that's too high of a set of polygons for me, or voxels. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, oops, I've increased that. I'm going to decrease. I'm going to do it twice and just see how that looks. So let's, on the tool hand, double click the green button, and just that negatives everything away. And then let's just have a look what happens when we spray it down. And let's see if it looks, see that looks super low polygon now. So that's what I'm after at the minute. So I'm going to start, I'm just going to lay down a sphere, which will become the belly. So that's going to be roughly where I want the belly. So that's near enough where I want it. So secondary hand, just doing that smooth. I'm just trying to get right to the centre here. And what I'll do is I'll just pull down. It might be a little bit better if that image is a bit further back for me. So go back to the references and just pull him back a little bit. Okay, so might be a tad too small actually, so too low, so I'll just increase it. There you go, it's a little bit more smooth. That's about the level I'd want it for this kind of job. So I'll just lay down some volume. And the great thing, because it's voxels, it's welding it all in. So that'll probably do me for the initial body shape, just to give me some kind of reference to where I'm starting from. So now we'll go rename, clear, body, and then we'll go new layer, decrease once, and now we'll just do some legs. So let's just think about the thighs coming off here and then down to the knee. Now see what I've done there? Just double check. It looks like if I hide the eye, you can see it's a separate part, so we know we're doing it correctly. So let's just quickly lay down the leg, even if it's not the right volume. It's just to say where we want the shape laying down. So that's about right there. So smooth that down, and now add some volumes for the muscle. Remember, it's very stylized, this one, so even if you lay down the muscle, you might want to just smooth it right back. So put him a calf in there and a bit of an ankle, and then smooth it down. straight away he's getting his shape now. And then his feet are a bit bigger, so hold down on the tool hand with the thumbstick, and that gives you the ability to change your brush size. And then come out to where we want the toes. Again, just smooth it down if it's not quite right. So that's not far off already with the legs. So that only takes a few minutes to lay it down. Now that's highlighted that the tail is way too high now. So there's two things we can do. We can go back to the body and we can use the move tool, which is push forward on your support hand and go to move. Big brush. Let's just get the tail roughly in the right place now. And we're looking at centre of balance now a little bit. Smooth him again. Shoulders back a bit. And there we go. The centre of balance is better already. We might adjust those volumes in a minute, but that's given us a nice little layout. Let me just move back a tiny bit. So those shoulders look a bit wide. So back to forward push with the thumbstick. Let's just get some shoulders on there. And a little bit of a hint of a knobbly little neck, which we may or may not need, but let's just see what it looks like if we've got one. There we go. A bit more. Okay, so we'll just rename this. So let's rename, clear legs. And now a new one. We'll do it straight away. So rename, clear arms. And we're going to do both arms together as we did with the legs. Let's just decrease the resolution. And then we won't do it in the layout that it's got there because it'll be too close to the body, so we'll do it out at the side. So a bit of volume for the shoulder, followed by the upper arm, and then down roughly to where the hand will be, and then we'll start adding some muscle volume. And don't worry if it looks too muscly, because what I'm after is the volume, and then I'll pare it back to the more stylized look. It's good to get your volumes right though, or accurate-ish, or more accurate is the right word. Get that shoulder looking nice. We might chew away from the body there, but we'll decide that later once we've done this first pass. What we're trying to do is just lay out one entire pass of form, really, just so that we can make sure we're happy with that. And then we'll go back and make some decisions on details. So let's put a hand on. Now we might find that that's too low resolution. You can see how it's getting a bit triangulated there. So what we'll do is we'll go increase that layer. You can see it's gone a bit wobbly on the surface, so we can smooth that out a bit. There's a great tool called Inflate that we're going to use later, so don't worry too much if he's not quite as muscly as you think. I'll zoom right in by pinching and going right in. So let's just lay out roughly, there's going to be 3 fingers and a thumb. So these are the important bits, these are the knuckles. And then the thumb comes off here and a joint there. And that means the volume inside needs to be a palm of the hand and the pad at the side. And then just pare that back. Too much there. Building some nice volume there. It's okay. So he's the end of the wrist. See, I'm adding it and then immediately getting rid of it. So to do the fingers, what's a good tip is go to the settings button and just use, I like this one, just the capsule, and then we'll just do his fingers arcing round in a little bit of a curve. So we'll do from the knuckle, maybe angle that a bit more, angle that a bit more, second knuckle, second joint, and then third. I'll make that a bit wider on the finger, where the fingernail might be, and then just go back in, make sure the hand looks right, and that'll probably do for a first pass of the hand. I want to extend this a little bit here, but we'll do that with the move tool once we've laid down the whole body. And there's definitely not enough volume in that arm now. Now I can go back and see it. Now I've laid it all down. And the hands might be a little bit too small. So again, we'll go back and do those once we've got one of every part of the body laid down. Let me just use the move tool here. I could see it was nowhere near right, so you can use the move tool just to put it somewhere closer to how it should be. And then with the clay tool back in, and just add those volumes back in that you've taken out. It looks a bit flat there. Okay, that'll do for now. And then new, we'll call this one, rename, clear, head, enter. Now we've got the big volumes of the head. So we can start off, decrease the layer again. Let's just put a big sphere down first of all and just see if it's about right volume wise. So the chin will probably come down to about here. Nose, cheeks. Again, just laying down big volumes, probably way too big. Negative away where we're thinking the eyes are going to go. And then suggestion of a nose. And then it's just a hint of a beak on this guy. Might be at this point, good idea to, let's move the reference to the side for a few minutes. I know we've got the reference in the background. It's quite useful now to see that side as I'm sculpting now. So we know the nose, so we're going to do eyes in a moment. So we're just going to put roughly where these volumes are going. And then the ears come off here. So we'll just lay in an ear, even if we delete it completely, at least we're laying it in. Like so. And then the cute little nose. here. And then his lip comes up, around, down, up, and then cheeks. And then the chin. See, he's too wide there, but we can do that with move now. Just bring him in. One of my favourite tools, that is the move tool. Okay, so see how some of those volumes are a bit odd, a bit thin. So we'll clean that up around the back. So what you can do is go inflate, and then very, very carefully, in fact, let's go up a resolution. Whoops, daisy. Fingers are going all over the place there. It's because we were on the reference, so increase the resolution and smooth that down a bit, and then let's just get some of these volumes inflated. So that's nice on the ear. Cheeks are okay, back of the head might want a little bit. So instead of adding clay, we're just building the volume. You can see the difference, sometimes better. Under here, oops. Under here. No. We'll go in there with the move tool to get that nicer. Okay, so move tool. And I think now we need some eyes to be able to do this properly, because we're not matching the reference well enough here. So as soon as we get some eyes in there, we can see. Yeah, definitely. Doesn't look happy enough either. So we probably need more. A few more smiley muscles in there. Just push that upper lid in, upper lip in. So he's got the beak bit, tooth, and then it goes one more bump. So tooth, bump, cheek. And then we'll just smooth the back of that, not the bottom of it. What I may do is actually rip off his bottom jaw, put that in as a separate as well. And then a bit more volume on his nose. And negative away. There we go. That looks better. And obviously he's got a separate horn as well, which we'll do on the same layer as the teeth. So let's pop those eyes in and see what that does for us. So, new layer, and we're going to go instantly to single. And we're going to change the colour to a pinky white. Let's get the volume about right. There we go, that will do. And that works for me. Now, instead of like the other way, so we'll just name it first of all. So, rename, clear, and we'll call that eyes, enter. And now, there's several different options here we can do. So, we can, in the settings, we can go metallic, which can sometimes work. You can see they do look a bit too metallic. We could try, so click on them again. We could try emissive, which is super bright, which can work, but can be a bit distracting sometimes, depending on the way you set it up. So, or we could just go default and bring the specular up and the roughness right down. Keep it occluded. In fact, take the occlusion off completely. And there you see, it's not too bad of a faux eye. And you could even, well, later on, we can even take some of we can negative away some of the front as if we would in other packages like that. But let's go increase the res again, and you can see straight away there it might help later on. So let's now paint it. So quickly push forward with the thumbstick, paint, and then we'll go black. We'll paint all the way around like that first of all. And if you think that still isn't high enough res, then you can squeak it up. But be careful, because one of the worst things you can do with this is to start getting too high with the resolutions. So that's high enough there. Oops, painted on there. Now let's bring some of that light blue in. Cornflower blue for his eyes. Let's just settings, opacity down a bit, and let's go gently with the blue. There we go. It's a great little start for his eyes. He looks a bit Eve. Actually, the blues are slightly off. So it's more of a slaty grey blue, isn't it? So we'll go in. Let's just make that black truly black. Settings, opacity maximum. There we go. I think he's got quite a small pupil. So maybe go in with a light blue. Right around here. Just put some pepper in, so a small brush, and just pepper some of that blue around. There we go. That's enough for what we need. Because he looks a bit starey and strange at the moment, so we'll bring some eyelids in now into play. So back to the head, and then make sure the colour is back to your colour that you've picked. So colour picker, pick it there, and then back to clay, positive, and then let's just build something up around here. So we want an eyelid. Oh, got single still on, so make that continuous. Make doubly sure we're on the skin, the body. Still hasn't picked the colour up, so back to colour, pick. There we go. Now we're in the game. And it might be that we want to go up another res, but now we're going to have to start being a bit careful. Once we start getting up to this res, I don't really want to go much higher until I go to the painting fully. And I'll just lay down where I know I want the rim of this eye mask that he's got. So I'm just suggesting where that eye mask is. Lid's nearly there, and then we need a lower lid. We'll only smooth that, so really tiny smooth brush. Don't smooth that too far back at all. Cool. So let's do the teeth now. So, kind of got the core of it down very, very quickly. So, let's go new layer, rename clear teeth, T-E-E-T-H, and horn, because they'll be the same kind of material. So we'll go for a square to start with, maybe, or in fact we could start using stamps now. So, in fact, you know, we don't even need that. We'll just use a square, but we'll pick a nice creamy colour just as a base, and then we'll go in and just do him a couple of blocks of teeth make them bigger than we want and smooth them back down. Increase the res. Understanding the res is one of the challenges with Medium. Just knowing what works for you at what level is a useful little exercise, so make sure you understand it quite quickly when you're learning it. So they're not quite in the right position, so move tool, twist, move them into place. There you go. And now the horn is as simple as going back to the sphere, clay, sphere, make sure you're definitely on the teeth and horns, and we'll go great big one and then peel it back. There we go. That's cool. So that was easy enough. So now we've got the shapes pretty well laid out. So let's just lay out, let's just do a little bit of twisting around with the volumes. So head's a little bit out of shape. So back to move tool, and let's just start seeing how we want these cheeks to look. There's the smile. And now we can make a choice whether we want that lower jaw or not. Ears maybe a tad bigger. That's cool. Now body, just a smidge narrower at the top. Quite happy with that. Arms are looking okay. Body, a bit bigger on the body. So I could do inflate. In fact, we will do. We'll inflate the areas that we need. So inflate. And then we want some volume around here. Oops, too much. And then up. No, it's not going to get the control I want. So I'm going to go back to clay. I'm going to do it with clay. Let's just double check we've got the right colour. So colour palette picker. There we go. Get these volumes right under here. And then as the chunkiness of his little fat belly comes over the thigh, we want them to fold over here like this. And that's quite nice now. There we go. And a bit more underneath. So that's good. A little hint of his chest. I'm actually going away from the design a little bit here, but it's now we've got the form of it, we can see some of the things that aren't working well enough. So a bit more volume in the shoulders. Tail's not bad. Go. Maybe a bit more in his arms. Oops. That's cool. So now let's bulk up these feet maybe. And then one thing I hadn't considered is I probably want separate toes. Definitely not enough volume up here. Starting to go back and have a look at the reference a bit more here. There we go. And then from the back. Now don't worry about going through the floor, because we'll fix all that in one go in a minute. Yeah, that's cool. That's great. Now we do actually need toes now, so maybe just a bit more work on the legs. That's fine. So if we need toes, let's make a separate one for toes. A new. We can have 20 layers at the moment, so we're nowhere near the limit. And then colour pick one of those light browns. Nope, too yellow. In fact, let's colour pick the all the way up there to the horn. Cool. Back to the leg. And now what we'll do is we'll just fold these over a little bit. Make sure I'm looking at it from both sides. Right, so it all pops through underneath. So if you're on the foot, just get the cube, make it huge, go negative with it, and get it level. And just negative away from underneath. And the same for the toes, and there you go. It's virtually flattens it all the way for you. Very, very simple way of doing it. So let's throw some colour in now. So let's do the body first of all. So paint. We're on that red, so go lighter and then pink. Let's try that. No, too green. No, a bit brighter. There we go. That'll do. So we'll go all the way up here, and if it's getting very voxely on the end, it might be again time to go increase the res on the side. So we'll come all the way down here. We need it to go all the way down, and then there's no suggestion of actually how far around it goes, but if we go follow the tail, and then we just keep a nice wobbly line here as it goes onto the body. I quite like that look. Wobble your hand as you're painting, that's probably a good way of doing it. And then all the way under the chin and up to the base of the nose, to the cheeks, and then we need a there's a peppering up here, so again just how I'm wobbling my hand, and we'll come back to that. Lower ears need a peppering. And then there's just bits and bobs. It's not really well defined on the concept, so I'll just pepper it a bit more. Might just, again, just pepper the arms, and we'll work that out a bit later, maybe. Not overly sure of that yet, so I'll be a bit careful of that. Looking at the concept now, and then we need a dark brown around his eyes now, so again, I'm not 100% sure of that as a concept yet, but we'll go with it as an initial pass. Onto the head, and then do a dark brown first and see what happens. See how you pull away? So my hand's there and it's small, and just pull it away. So that's how you change the size of your brush quickly. And then we'll go a little bit lighter. It doesn't look too bad. And then we're going to do these. We'll do that non-symmetrically in a few minutes. I'm not putting dots on symmetrically. And then a bit more, a bit lighter, even more actually. Over the top here. A bit of a peppering. Just give it onto the nose. So now what we didn't do is change any of these settings. So specular high, roughness down again, diffuse colour high, occlusion off. There we go. Just having a bit of fun with that really. I'm not too worried what that looks like. Opacity hardly anything, and we'll just put some fake shadows. On the toes as well. There we go. It might have needed a bit more pink actually. Pink that. Pinker, more pink and brighter. Yeah, see? Just... again, we're going to layer this a bit, so... this is only the initial paint job. Now we need that dark red now. An almost purpley kind of look. Yeah, cool. We'll keep the opacity low. We're not going to go... I'm going to keep this nice and wobbly. A bit more opaque. Oh, a bit too much. As Medium evolves, I think you'll find a lot more of these tools will get better, because at the minute there's not a huge amount of variance in your brush work. You have, the best way is to do what I'm doing here, which is peppering it a bit. And I'd obviously like more alphas and more ways to get a nicer brush, but for now, absolutely fine. Go large on the back, pepper it all the way around the back. Maybe even a bit under here, just to give us a hint of that shadowing. This is how we get some nice surface detail in him without going into the sculpt. Wherever there's two joints, just wherever there's a joint, make sure the painting's as close as you can across those seams. There we go. No, probably gone a little bit too, maybe a bit too dark on here, so I might just peel that back a bit. Cool, and ears, let's have a bit of bright orange. Inside. There we go. So that's our first, it's kind of an hour to knock out the creature really. So, and now everything from now on is going to be improving it and making it more like the reference. So I think I'll work a lot on the eyes next. And then I'm going to do a pose pass and see how he looks posed up, and then I'll do snap some screenshots of him and just see if he works and where I need to change him up a little bit. Probably go off the symmetry for a moment. So we'll turn mirror off. We'll pick one of those purples, like a dark purple. And now we can start thinking about the right level. Some of those non-symmetrical shapes that are on there. You could do these later, but this is just to show you how much better it is. Non-symmetrical. What I'll do is I'll save him at this level, we'll save the model and we can go back and have a play with this one. That's the first pass, and how quick it is to rough out a model, whatever we do with it, whether we take it to ZBrush next or Maya or something else. It gives us something to play with, and it might be good to now snapshot this from the side, the front, exactly what we've done up here. We can now have more accurate representation, so we can maybe even use this as the reference to improve it. But that's how quick we can use Medium, Oculus Medium, to get our shapes out. You can see there's a bit of an interpretation where you've gone from 2D to 3D, so we might have some changes that we want to make there. But now it takes so little time to get to this level that we can spend a lot of time on refinements and shape changes.